year student specializing in public international law and human rights. And I'm also the head of main events for this year in ILSA. We are very excited to see you tonight and for you to be here with us. Thank you so much for our distinguished guests for also agreeing to be here and to provide us a bit more clarification on some of our questions. Just before I give the floor to my amazing colleagues who will moderate this event, I have an important disclaimer for all of you. Please be aware that this event will not engage in a debate regarding the Proctor exam or issues covering these testing measures, but would rather focus on how to best approach this new method, and will also offer the possibility to get some clarity on technical questions, for examples. But as always, ILSA had and has no competence on the matters concerning the Proctor exams or exams in general. So please be mindful of that throughout this event. And we really hope that you will enjoy, that you will get a lot of useful tips, and that you will find this to be a great way for you to spend the evening. So without any further ado, I will give the floor to my amazing colleagues from the main events committees, Carolina and Milena, for officially starting this event.
Yes, thank you so much, Mara. And we again thank you everyone for being here and trying your best to be your best in school. I'm Milena. I'm a second-year student, and I am from Romania. And my colleague here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carolina. I'm also in second year, and I am from Italy.
Now we are going to introduce our distinguished guest today. The first guest of our today is Ms. Lia Nijzink, who is a senior lecturer at our university and also is the team leader of our law program. She's going to tell us more about the digital examination and also give us some more details and information regarding the policy regarding the Proctor examination.
Yes, and next we will have Ms. Stefania Marassi, who is also a senior lecturer at our university in European law, specifically in European labor law. And she will discuss the rules of the examination and give some more clarity as to how exams are flagged and answer your questions and issues. After that, we will get into the exam prep part of this event, and we will give you some tips and tricks on how to best study for MCQs and how to best answer them. So I give the floor now to our guests.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us, and I would like to start by complimenting you for organizing this event. I think it is really important for all our students to be fully informed of what lies ahead, and I really appreciate the fact that you make your contribution to that, to making sure that everyone is as informed as they can be. I would like to give you a little bit more background to this, to what we are going to look at tonight. I think there has been a little bit of confusion about what lies ahead and what we have planned in terms of the examination. So I hope that I can clear up the confusion. What is happening in this current quarter, the upcoming exam period, is that one exam in year one, the Intro to EU Law exam, will be held in the format of the digital testing application called Remindo, and with that comes the proctoring program called Proctor exam. So for now, we are only looking at the year one exam in Q3 that we will be offering in this particular setup. And I don't know how, I heard some rumors that there were people thinking that we do all of the exams in Q3 in this way. And so first of all, to say that is not so. We are continuing with the way we have been doing exams for all the other exams except the Intro to EU Law exam. So that's the first one. And then maybe just to explain a little bit about these two programs. So first of all, we have an application for digital testing, which is called a Remindo. And that's a program that is being used in the university already by a lot of other programs, and that we will be using going forward. Also into next year. So Remindo is a program that we are going to use for online exams, not just because of the current corona situation, but just because that is the program that we will be using for most of the bigger exams, also in the new curriculum. So we are moving towards using the Reminder program, and this Intro to EU Law is the very first one where we are going to do that in our program. That is one. And then the other aspect of that move towards the use of Reminder is that because we are now currently still offering everything online and we do our examinations online, it means that this Reminder program comes with a proctoring software that is called Proctor Exam. And so that combination is not a must. The moment we can all fully be back in the building, every one of us, and we don't have 1.5 meters, we will still be using Reminder, but we probably won't be using proctoring anymore. So the proctoring comes with Reminder at this point in time because we are still in the corona situation. So that is the context of why we are doing this. And so we're trying to start with, we don't want to overload everyone with this new experience. So we're starting with the one exam, and then if all goes well, we will move to the year 1 and year 2 exams of Q4 using the same setup. So for now, it is the one exam, and in Q4, we will move to the use of both programs for more exams. And I think what we are going to do now is just look at the practicalities of what does it mean to be doing exams in this setup. And Ms. Marassi is very well informed in these details, so I'm happy to give the floor to her.
And perhaps before starting, do you want to share the information about the meeting of next week, Lia?
Yes, that is also a good one. Thank you. So this is it's not something that only the law program is doing. A lot of other programs also in the faculty are making this move to using Reminder. One of the advantages, obviously, is that we can go back to using multiple choice questions. And we're not only having to use the format of the open question. So that has a lot of advantages, both for you as a student and for us as lecturers. Anyway, so this is a move that the whole faculty is making, and therefore there is a faculty information session that is being planned. So if you have further technical questions that maybe Ms. Marassi is not able to answer, please make sure that you list all of those or hold on to those, because there is a faculty information session planned for the 8th of April, which I think is a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, at 10 o'clock in the morning. And there will be further announcements on it on the student portal, but I'll make sure that I post that in the general info page of Blackboard as well. So a faculty information session on the 8th of April, Thursday, 8th April at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay, so then I can start. Thank you for introducing me, and thank you also for the invitation. So as a disclaimer, I will not be able to answer questions related to is my mobile phone in line with regulations, why I cannot use the webcam and so on, because there will be another meeting next week. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So I will share a very short presentation I've prepared. You should be able to see it. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so the purpose of this presentation is just to give you a couple of ideas on how you could go about, well, the first exam you will have on the 12th of April, and it will be very short, and then we will open the floor for questions. Again, keep in mind that there is a general information page that is available in the student portal. If you haven't visited yet, please make sure that you look at it. There are also a couple of links in this page that will refer you to the Proctor exam website, to a manual that was developed by the faculty, and also to the privacy statement that was concluded. So I will look at a couple of tips when it comes to, well, the identification document, when it comes to the use of the phone, the use of the laptop, and also to the number of emails that you have that you're going to receive. I know you have received already one in relation to the date and the time of the exam from the faculty bureau. So in relation to the ID document, what we have realized also in our first mock in February is that the system will ask you to show your ID document, and they will ask you basically to show only your photo, name, and date of birth, and to cover all other private information. That could be the document number and also other information. I mean, in the Italian ID card, there are information about whether, for example, what the color of your eyes, if you're married, not married, things like this, which you don't need to share. So show it, you know, what I did back then, and I did that in advance. I used some sticky notes, or you can use Post-it to just cover the information that you don't want to, that you don't want and you don't need to share. And you can do that in advance. Please do it in advance. Don't do it 1 or 2 minutes before starting the second system check, because otherwise you will get stressed. I did get stressed during the mock because I didn't want to share all information with the relation to my passport with whoever is going to watch these videos. So I started to hide things with my fingers. And then I realized, well, if we actually suggest students to use sticky notes or or Post-it to cover information in advance, at least that will, I hope that you will start the exam in a bit of a calmer way. Then in relation to the mobile device, there could be a phone or a tablet. The position. I know that there is a video on Proctor exams that tells you that you need to place your mobile phone behind you. But if you look at the general information page on the student portal, and also if you look at this Proctor exam manual, it explains that the ideal position is to basically place it next in the back of you, because basically with the mobile phone they need to be able to see your basically your screen. They need to be able to see what type of material you have on your desk, and so please think about that when you're going to place your computer. So it needs to be able to show the side of the students and all the workstation and the screen. I know that the distance that is suggested is 2 meters. So think about also a place where you can roughly put your mobile phone at 2 meters, and keep in mind that you need to put it, and you see here on the top right, there is a picture. It has to be basically, you need to put it with the back side of your mobile phone, because that's where the camera is. There's a suggestion, and is a strong advice, maybe more than a suggestion, is to plug it into the socket, and also to make sure that you have a charger that is readily available. There was one question raised after the practice exam, and thanks Mara for sending me the feedback on that, about I didn't have a charger readily available. I had to stand up, and then I got kind of scared if I was already being recorded, if I was going to be flagged, and so on. I will get to that later. So just make sure you have a charger that is already maybe plugged into a socket, and that you can just use after to for your laptop, for your computer. So for your mobile phone or tablet. And I know that there are questions about as well, what if the socket that I'm going to use is too far away? And here, I mean, the only suggestion I can give you at this stage is to just use an extension cable, and that will allow you basically to just use also socket that is not that close to you. In relation to still the mobile phone, you need to make sure to activate the flight mode and turn on Wi-Fi. But that is also in the instructions. And something that you can do in advance is to download the Proctor exam app, which probably most of you have done already for the practice exam of 2 days ago. And here there are 2 hyperlinks. I will share that with you, also to a Google Play and Apple Store. Just make sure that you also have enough space, memory in your mobile phone to download it, and don't do it at the last second, otherwise it will actually stress you out. There are a number of questions about what happens if your phone is disconnected while you take the exam. So if your phone is disconnected at a certain point while you're taking the exam, you will receive a notification. You will see basically a pop-up window, and they will ask you to rescan the QR code. And basically, even if your phone is disconnected, it's not that your exam will be interrupted. You will still be able to continue to do the exam, but you will most likely be flagged because, of course, your phone is disconnected. So make sure to just follow whatever the notification asks you, which is the first step is scan the QR code so you can connect again the mobile phone and the camera and so on. In relation to the laptop, again, plug it into the sockets. Make sure that the operating system that you use is Chrome. If you haven't installed it yet, make sure you have that. And also something that is important, you need to make sure to close all the application and all the browsers except Google Chrome. And there was one question that my colleague just shared with me before this meeting about downloading the PDF documents in advance. That is, we are going to look into that, but the suggestion that is given is to close all application and browser, and that's also what you will see when you start doing all the system checks. I can see maybe somebody has the mobile phone that is. Somebody has the. Can you unmute yourself? I don't know who.
Who's had plastic surgery and who has not? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And so make sure also that you have one monitor. Don't try to cheat to have two monitors and two open applications in another monitor because you will be flagged. And then in relation to system checks, that's what you have started probably receiving by now. You will receive basically three main set of communications. The first one is an email from the exam office with date and time of the exam. And I know that this email has been sent already yesterday. If you haven't received it, please have a look in your spam box. After this email, you will receive an email from Proctor exam, where basically you will be asked to do a first system check no later than 48 hours before the start of the exam. We already know that some students did already the first system check for the 12th of April. So please, we would really ask you and invite you to do the first system check as soon as you can, because without this first system check, you will not get a link to the exam from Proctor exam. So please make sure, do the first system check. If you can right away, if you can write later today, in the coming days. If you haven't received this email from Proctor exam, please contact the exam office with tentamensbrv at hhs.nl. And see how they can help you. And again, if you encounter a problem during the first system check, use the chat window and try to see how they can help you with that. Once you have completed the first system check, you will receive a second email from Proctor exam, and you will see that there is a link to the exam, and you will have access basically to carry out the second system check 30 minutes before the exam starts. Again, if you have problems during those 30 minutes, use the chat window. Some students ask, are we going to do basically system checks for every exam we will do in Remando using Proctor exam? And the answer is yes. So this is a question that is not so much relevant now because you will have only one exam, Intro to Law, but if in Q4 you will have 3 exams that are going to be done with Remando and Proctor exam, you will receive basically different sets of emails related to each exam. And my suggestion, and you see it here, is as soon as you start receiving emails in relation to this exam from the exam office and then the first system check per exam, maybe just create folders and subfolders in your email. And that's what I did. For example, I created a folder exam introduction to ULO, and you place there all the information, all the emails that you receive. So you will place there an email, the first email that you receive from the exam office. You will place there the second email that you will receive from Proctor exam, and the third email that you also will receive from Proctor exam. So that when you start basically when you're about to start basically to set up exam, you don't get stressed, and you know that all the emails related to that particular exams are in that folder. That's just a tip, just give it a thought. And some general tips and answer to some of the concerns that were raised in questionnaires that we did after the first mock exam in February, and some that were shared today by Mara of ILSA. Now go to the restroom before you start the second system check. So again, the second system check can be started 30 minutes before the exam takes place. Once you finish this second system check, you are already start to be recorded. Now they said you can still go to the toilet before you click basically start to the exam, but if you can, that's the suggestion I would give you. Use the rest, start the second system check 30 minutes before, and then, you know, for the next 2 hours and a half, you're calm and you can just focus on your exam. Empty your desk and table. I know there are going to be probably questions in relation to that. Be alone in the room. We have also received some questions about can you be two person in the same room, especially for those students who maybe share a studio. So the answer is no. So the answer is you should be alone in the room. But however, so if you are two persons in one room, in one studio, one in one side and one in the other side of the room, you will be flagged. But keep in mind, and I will get to that in a few minutes. Keep in mind that being flagged doesn't mean that you have cheated. So there will always be somebody, and this, for example, people of the exam board that will review the footages and will basically see that you were probably in different side of the room and that you haven't communicated with each other, you haven't shared information, so on. But the rule is, please be alone in the room. So no watches, headphones and earphones. This is also what is valid for physical examination. That's another tip is somebody rings at the door. Please don't answer, don't stand up, just keep doing your exam. I know that it's a bit strange, but that's what I actually do. So if I'm in meeting, I know that there is maybe a DHL guy ringing for me, our neighbors. I don't stand up, just continue doing your exam and they will wait for you. There were questions about using an A4 page. And I know that was one of in the instructions of the introduction to law practice exam. So an A4 page is just literally an A4 white page that you can just use, you can keep next to you to take notes. Make sure you have that next to you if the exam instructions allow that. And in relation to flagging, which I know that here as well, there are a number of questions. So how does that work? So once you finish the exam, all the exams footages will be reviewed, and there are going to be three three flags colors: green, yellow/orange, and red. And the green will basically be automatically graded, and the yellow will be looked at by somebody internally, and they will basically be reported then to the exam board, and the red will go also to the exam board. So keep in mind that there is always a physical person right behind in making the decision. So even if you would be flagged as red, because let's say, I think there was a nice example in this general page in your student portal. If your cat is passing up in front of your screen, or if there are other, let's say, funny situations that can happen, but you actually haven't cheated, don't worry about that, because the exam board will look into that and you will be able to provide explanation if asked. And finally, I know that there are some concerns and questions about privacy, so about what type of data are they collected, how they're stored, how they're archived, and so on. And here is a link to the TUA's privacy statement, which was released by the Data Protection Officer. And here you can find all information about the data that are collected, for example, your name, IP address, and so on. And also how they will be archived, how they will be stored, and for how long. You will see that they will be stored for 6 weeks, unless there are suspicion of fraud, for example. And in those cases, basically, they will be stored for longer, basically until, let's say, you're cleared up. So that's it from my side. I will then open the floor for questions. I will stop sharing the presentation so that I can see some faces. And yeah, feel free to use the chat, raise your hands. Yeah, I'm very happy to answer any question you may have.
Can I just, before we
Any
move to the
question?
questions,
Yeah.
I just want to emphasize the important point that Ms. Marassi made, to say there is a certain level of automation in this proctoring software, but it's very important for you to know that in the flagging process and in kind of assessing the footage that shows that was flagged, there will always be someone, and that someone is not an anonymous person. That is someone that we know, that is someone that belongs to our program, and that is looking at all those flags from the exam board perspective. So it is not some anonymous process where you would suddenly be flagged as someone who is cheating. It is a very careful process where the ultimate decision or the assessment of those flags is really something that lies in the hands of the exam board. And so there are very careful processes in place in that regard. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Thank you.
And maybe also building on that, if for example you encounter problem during the exams, or let's say you realize that there is an MCQ that let's say that there are some challenges in the MCQs that you think maybe it's wrong or so on. You can of course use the window chat that you find in Remindo, but keep in mind that the people that are behind that live chat are people from Proctor exam, and there will be also 2 persons from the faculty office, but they will not reply to any question related to content. So if in the unlikely event, and it feels like to be in an airplane, that there is a wrong question, that there is a question that has some mistakes, please stay calm, answer, and then we will look into that. But don't start contacting the people of the chat, because they're not going to be able to give you any answer about question 13 if our answer option B is misspelled, or if there is a mistake. The people that are behind the chat are there to give you support, technical support. So keep that in mind as well. And I see that there is one person raising his or her hand. Let me see. Yeah, please take the floor. Hagen, I don't know if you're a he or a she. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I have a cat at home, and I can ask him to be quiet. So I would probably get flagged, which is because my attention would be on my cat and not on the exam. Do I get flagged, or does someone get flagged and then we get a notice during the exam or after?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I do have a cat as well. So if my suggestion is don't stand up. So right, if you have your cat which may jump on the desk or just wants attention, just try to maybe give him a little bit of attention, but try to keep your face towards the screen. And you will not know during the exam if you're flagged or not. So continue during your exam, and even if the exam board will see that it's a cat. Can you see me? Sorry, my line went.
Yes, the connection was
Okay.
cut off for a bit, but
can you still hear me?
Yeah. Would I have to prove
Okay.
that I have a cat at home and that I wasn't cheating? Would I have to?
No, don't worry. They will be able to, they will see the footages, and they will see that there was a cat walking around you. And if asked, they will see that there is a cat. Yeah, so don't worry about that. And the same could happen. Like I can see that some of you still lives at home with parents, siblings, maybe kids. So try to find a calm spot where to carry out the exam. But if your mom enters and she asks something like, how is the exam going? Maybe just tell your mom, okay, or your dad, let's we'll talk about it later. And you may be flagged because there is somebody else in your room, and the audio is also detected. But then you will still be able to, explain that if asked, explain that it was just your mom. They will be able, they will hear everything, see everything. So don't worry about that. And again, as Ms. Nijzink said, even if you're flagged red, stay calm. If it's just your cat, your mom, your dad, your brothers, sisters, you know, even your brother, sister shouting in the other room, it's maybe not very good for you, for your level of concentration, but it's not, don't stress out. And I see another person, two other person. I see Rukoro.
Yeah, thank you once again for taking the time to be here and to explain this system for us.
You're welcome.
In terms of what we are looking for, because this is a tester exam to see whether we'll implement it next quarter, how would we then render this successful? Like, what are you looking for you to say that this was successful and we will implement it next quarter?
Thank you. Lia, Ms. Nijzink, can I give you the floor on this?
Sure. A successful exam in Remindo for the Intro to EU Law means that all of you have been able to do the exam, to complete the exam, and that we have had a careful process of looking at the flags that the system might have thrown up, and that we leave it to the exam board to adjudicate those instances the way we do with other exams. So, and a successful exam is that hopefully as many of you as possible have passed that particular exam.
Okay, thank you so much.
And I see Ahmadi and
Yes.
then Midek. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So when my apologies. So when making the exam and when you answer the question, can you go like back to the question to like look at it?
Yeah,
To
you can do that. So if yeah, so I don't know if you managed to take the practice exam on Tuesday. If you didn't, maybe check with one of your colleagues, but you can do that. So you can go back and forth. You can flag them as well. If for example, you have answer one and you're unsure, you want to go back, yes, you can do that. And there is, I can share with you a link. I will share it after in the chat, or I will ask maybe Mara of ILSA to share it with you. It's a link to a Remindo. Yeah, just you can basically practice and see how Remindo works. It's just a few questions, and it's publicly available. You can practice a bit with that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. But in any event, keep in mind timing. I know that the nice ladies of ILSA will speak about nice strategies on how to deal with MCQs. So, and I know that they will talk about time, because time is of the essence. It's 40 MCQs for the Intro to Law exam. So keep in mind that you have about 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes to do each exam. And then I have Midek.
Yes. Thank you. So I'm sorry for asking again, but what happens when my Wi-Fi is disconnecting? I'm not sure.
If the Wi-Fi, for example, of your computer or the Wi-Fi of your mobile phone?
Both.
So okay, so let's say that your mobile phone is disconnected. So if your mobile phone is disconnected, the system will give a notification, and they will ask to scan again a QR code that you will see on your laptop. So you will probably need to stand up, get the mobile phone, scan a QR code, go back and plug it in again, and continue the exam. And if this happens a few times, it could happen that this happens a few times, and then you are disconnected for a few seconds. Then you will most likely you will be flagged, and then it's going to be again up to the exam board to actually look into that case, whether a few seconds are basically to decide on what happens if you have not been in front of the computer for a few seconds or a few minutes. That will really depend. I hope I answer your question.
Thank you.
But you know, if I have to be honest, I've seen also in the practice exam of Tuesday that yeah, we didn't have that problem. So I would not be that concerned if you know, if you put your mobile phone in flight mode, if you turn on the Wi-Fi, if you plugged it in. I would not. Yeah, I would just stay, you know, calm and just continue the exam. And you will get notified if there is a problem. And then I see Sarantaku.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about the toilet thing. Because this issue, especially for us girls, if it's 2 hours and it might be a really big need to go to the bathroom, what happens if we go there? Because sometimes there's no other option.
You will be flagged, but that's the same as if are you a year 1 student?
Year 2.
Yeah, year 2. Okay, so you have experience exams in at the Broodfabriek in year 1 probably. So that's the same. Like also there in the first 2 hours you cannot go to the restroom. So I must say that I don't know what answers to give you, with the exception of if you stand up and you go to the restroom and you stay away for a couple of minutes, you will be flagged. And then it will be up to you to explain why you did that. But I can't speak on behalf of the exam board. If you know, if a few minutes away will lead to let's say not accepting your exam and so on. Yeah, and I know if you look in the general page on the student portal, there is also reference to the use of restroom, and there is also reference to those students who, for medical conditions, they need to make use of the restroom, to contact. I'm not sure if it's the exam office, but there is a reference there. So I don't know if that's your situation, but if that would be your situation, then maybe have a look at what is the procedure. Check the general page. There is a reference there.
Maybe if I can just add to that, I think it's really important to have a mindset if you do this, you know, when you do this in exam in this setting, to have a mindset as if you are in an exam hall. It's the idea, you know, in an exam hall, you can't have all kinds of things with you. In an exam hall, you can't speak to your fellow students. There are invigilators who walk around to check that you are doing the work without cheating. So this is the digital version of it. So if your mindset is I'm here in an exam hall and I'm concentrating to do the best I can on the exam, and I don't let myself be distracted by anything, then I think you're on the right path. And then it's the same way with, say, toilet breaks. If we would be in the building and you're in an exam hall, there won't be toilet break in those 2 hours. So take the same kind of preparation for doing this at home. Prepare yourself well. Make sure that you prepare yourself for that setting in advance, and then I think you should do fine. And then should there a flag happen, then like we said, there will be people looking at that footage and making an assessment of whether you have genuinely made an effort to stay in the examination conditions and focused on the work, or whether you have been trying to teach. So should you, if you do your preparations well and you are in the mindset of being in an examination setting, then you should be fine.
Thank you. And then I see Dadema.
Yes, thank you.
So my concern was that at the beginning of the mock exam, we had to download 4 documents, and like I could not make a PDF of them, so I had different tabs. And I was kind of afraid that during the actual exam, every time I leave the exam page and like go to a different tab, I would like get flagged. So I was wondering, like, are they are they seeing literally everything on my computer, or only the exam page, so that I don't get flagged every time I leave the exam page and like open the document?
Yeah, they see everything. So
Okay.
they are recording your screen. So if you open up YouTube because you feel like listening, just venting, right? Listening some music, they will see that too. So, and in relation to the downloading of PDF, can you keep that question for next week? And I will also look into that because I don't know in your computer, like, do you have like Adobe, or can you, like, are you usually able to download PDF documents, or?
Well, usually I have, but I had to download like Google Chrome for the exam, and I don't know how to do that. I'm not very technical.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I can relate to a certain extent. So if it can help to, you know, to be calm to take the exam, we provide information in relation to the material that students can have access to. So, and we provide information to whoever is going to watch this, all the videos of your exams. So they know that you're allowed to, and then it will depend on the exam instruction. Let's say for introduction to law, for the practice exam, that you were allowed to consult the Treaty on the Function of the European Union. So they are aware of the documents that you're allowed to watch. So if you're opening up another PDF document, that is, let's say, you're opening up a directive on maternity leave. I'm just inventing something that you're not allowed to watch. They will be able to see that. So they are able to see if you're opening the right PDF documents or not. And on the question about downloading the documents, then I think if you could keep this question for next week, because it's a very technical question, I think that would be maybe great and better.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I see Nita.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So my question, the first time we were told about these Proctor exams, we were told that in the next quarter, so in the 4th quarter, we will have these exams only if this exam, the EU law exam, came out as successful. From what I understand now, successful means that everyone would be able to take it, and it's accessible to everyone. However, from what I know from the mock exam, a lot of people faced a lot of technical difficulties, including me. The exams didn't work. It didn't load. They couldn't see the questions. If this also happens to the exam, to the normal exam, would this exam still be considered as successful? We would still have our exams in the 4th quarter like this?
Can I say, and then I give the floor to Ms. Nijzink, like, I don't think there were a lot of people and that had problems. There were people, and as far as I know, there were 6 or 7 out of 221. So I think we also need to be careful in saying how many people actually had problems. And with this, I don't want to minimize, right, the fact that some people had problems. So yeah, let's keep that also in mind. And then I'll give the floor to Ms. Nijzink on that.
Thank you. I don't want to put a number on this. What it is like, if we do, now that we do online examination in Blackboard, we also experience sometimes we experience problems. And if we get a complete meltdown of Blackboard, then we have a huge problem. But we also see sometimes individual problems. Some students have a problem with uploading. Some students have a problem with the Wi-Fi. So there's a certain scale of problems. And obviously the aim of all of this, and also the aim of providing you with enough information, is to say the aim is that all of you who are registered for the exam have have done the preparations done the preparations in order to be able to access the exam and complete it successfully. So that is what we're aiming for, and that is what we hope to achieve. We do it with one exam now, also to check, if we run into huge technical glitches, similar to Blackboard being out for an hour, then we need to take a good look at that. And then we certainly we need to speak to our technical people to ensure that that won't happen in Q4. So those are the things we are going to look at. Whether there will be individual problems, yes, there might be individual problems. But if you follow the instructions that we give and you prepare yourself well and you ensure that everything is in order and you have the right extension cords, you do the right setting up of your systems, then you should be able to access. And the aim is for all of you to be able to access the exam, to be tested on the hard work that you did in the Intro to EU Law course, and to get a grade for showing your lecturers the extent of the knowledge that you gained. So that is what we're aiming for. And I don't want to pin a particular number on it to say, oh, then it's successful or then it's not successful. The aim is to get all of you into that exam and to make sure that you can complete it.
And if I may add, when we did this mock exam in the 9th of February, which was our first, let's say, tryout, the main challenges that people encountered were in relation to basically to even starting a second system check, because the first system check that was done, that they tried to do, was basically so close to the beginning of the exam. So the first system check is strongly advised to do it at least 48 hours before the exam. And this 48 hours, there is a reason behind that, is that at least you have some time, which is 2 days, to look in how you could solve the problem by using the chat window, for example. If you start doing this first system check so close to the exam, let's say 40 minutes before, then you need to receive a link. You need to do the second system check. You start using the chat if you have problems, and other people do the same, other students. There is, well, in a way, there is going to be also a bottleneck, because there are people behind the chat, but if 400 students, and I'm just exaggerating here, but just keep in mind, if 400 students do the first system check an hour before the exam, the second system check half an hour before the exam, which has to be done, and many encounter problems, then it's going to be challenging to solve everything. That's why we strongly advise follow the rules, follow the instructions, at least 48 hours, start with the first system check, and you will see if you encounter already some challenges there. And then I have Lichtenberger.
Yes. Hi. I have two questions. Hello. The first one was, there are students that have concentration problems and they never went to the student counselor, and some of them, it will be difficult for them to keep looking in the screen. Will they get the chance to explain to the exam board or someone that they actually have problem with concentration problem? They have problem with concentration? That's my first question. My second question is, there might have girls that have their period during the exam, and some of them medicine won't work, so they have period cramps. Will that be a problem? Because especially with the cramps, sometimes you'll move a lot. So that's my second question.
Thank you very much for your question. Yeah, so in relation to the first one, as far as I know, but I will ask also Ms. Nijzink to complement what I say if necessary. The student council is necessary if you in this kind of situation, like to have visited the student counselor. And well, I don't know what, if you say that concentration problem may lead you to, for example, just distract yourself a second, maybe just, I don't know, let's do like this, you look a bit at the ceiling, or you look somewhere else for a few seconds, that's not going to be a problem because you're going to have a camera, right? You have the camera of your mobile phone, which is basically showing and recording everything you do. So if you don't have anything in your desk, except if you're allowed to, an A4 white, right? An A4, a white one where you can take notes, then even if you would be flagged, let's say, because you're looking around and you need some distraction for a few seconds during the exam, even if you're flagged with a red flag, the exam board will be able to see that basically you were not looking at anything else except maybe the ceiling for a few seconds to just distract your just distract your attention for a few seconds. So that's not going to be a problem. Of course, if you say I have a concentration issue, I haven't visited the student counselor and I will keep standing up and down and move a bit like this, then I think that you will probably still be flagged. But again, you will have also always somebody behind making, as Ms. Nijzink said, an assessment of why you were flagged red or yellow. And in relation to your second question, it's very linked to the answer to the first one. So the idea is that you are behind the screen, and that's, you know, if you have the mobile phone that with a camera that is looking at you and you stand up and you move because you have cramps, and I can relate to that, and they don't see you anymore because maybe you just walk around the room and for a few seconds the mobile phone is not able to record what you do, then you may have a problem there. So my suggestion is, like, if you have cramps, maybe just stretch your leg a bit, maybe stand really maybe half up, but try to still, please don't move too much. Don't for sure don't go in a place where the mobile phone cannot see you, because then you're going to maybe have even more problems in explaining what happened. So try to stick to your desk as much as you can. And I know that it's not easy, but that would be the same if you would be in the, I don't know if you're a year 1 or year 2 student, but if you are a year 1, if you're a year 2, you have experienced exams at the Broodfabriek, and even in those situations, if you have a period and you need to move, you cannot do that. You just need to wait. So it's a very similar situation. It's the same situation as if you do an exam at the Broodfabriek. That's where we did it in the past. So it's a kind of a mindset as well. That's what also my colleague tried to share with you. I hope this helped. And Ahmadi.
Sorry, thank
yes.
you, Ms. Marassi. I just wanted to add that, to say it is about being in the mindset of being in an examination. So if you are in an exam hall and you sit for exams, you're also not allowed to walk around. So, although that might be quite challenging in some circumstances, I think just try to restrict that. And it's also, you need to go in the mindset of the exam board to say, okay, we're going to check whether we see on the footage a situation where you could be cheating, where we can't monitor what you do, and if you stay out of sight of the camera for a very long time, we don't know whether you looked at a set of notes that you have, or whether you looked at another device, or whatever you may be doing if you want to cheat. So it's about that. It's not about can you move around a little bit. It is about the integrity of your exam. Can we believe that this is your own work and that you did your best to present your lecturers with your best work that is yours, and that we can give a good grade for and let you pass with? And that is the essence of this exercise. And so if you stick to that, then I think we're all fine.
Thank you. I see Ahmadi. Shall we take, if we have still 3 persons here that would like to ask a question, can I make a call and say, if you still have questions, maybe just this is your last opportunity to raise your hand. So Ahmadi.
Yes, thank you.
So normally the teachers would like take 20 days for grading the exams. Will that be extended because like every video will be reviewed separately, or will it stay the same?
That's an excellent question. Oh, sorry, go on.
We sincerely hope that this system with using Remindo will reduce the amount of time it takes us to get the grades back to you. And it does depend a little bit on that process that is there at the side of the exam board, on the amount of flags that they need to go through, because that also needs to be a careful process. But we certainly hope that the grades will be with you a lot quicker than with the use of the open question Blackboard system. So we will be able to, all of us will be able to see how it goes for Intro to EU Law and how we manage our time in getting the grades to you. And then you would have an idea of what to expect.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, ideally, if the majority, the great majority, and if you're all, let's say, consider as a green flag, it will not take. It will take really a few days for to just look at the footages. But as Ms. Nijzink mentioned, if we don't know how many red flags there will be, and we don't know also how long the exam board will take to clear them or confirm them. Yeah. But ideally, yes, it will take less.
If all of you are very good in your preparations and very good in sticking to this mindset of I'm in an examination setting, then we will have very few flags and it could go very quickly. So we have to see, and it's also, let's see what happens in the Intro to EU Law, but we certainly have expectations that it will speed up the process of getting the grades to you.
And then I have Chen. Could take the floor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for your presentation. I face a problem with Remindo test system. I went to the mock exam, but after all of the checking with the Proctor, that application, and they asked me to click the go to Remindo tests, that's a point, and I click it, but it says it's not yet possible for you to continue. Please try again later and contact an admin. So I contact with BRV, but I haven't get any answer. And today, when I was in the workshop of Intro to EU Law, the lecturer, she sent the Remindo, this website link to me again. She asked me to try it, and I tried to log in with my HHS account, and it says I had an unknown user password combination. So I don't know what's happened with my account.
Did you receive the first email that was sent last week in relation to the practice exam by the exam office? Did you receive that?
Yeah, I received that. I did all of the checking, and I also received the second email from the Proctor exam.
Yeah. So maybe if you can, my suggestion is contact the exam office, so tentamens@brv.nl. And you find it also in my presentation and also in the general page, and maybe inquire with them, because they are the one who basically link the students to the Remindo and to a specific exam. So they will be able, I hope they will be able to help you, and if not, attend the session of 8 of next week, 8 April, as my colleague mentioned, and raise this question.
Yes,
okay,
please.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And then I have Troanka, who is the last one.
Hello.
Hello.
I just have a short question regarding the timing of the question. I was not able to participate in the mock exam like last Tuesday, and I would like to ask, you mentioned that the question will be like 2 minutes. We have like 2 minutes time to answer it.
A bit more, yeah.
A bit more. So if are they timed individually, or if I can answer one question in like 5 seconds, can I use the remaining time of that question to answer the other?
that's the answer, the latter. So you will be able to basically decide how you allocate your time. So if you're able to answer a question, as you said, in a few seconds, then you will have more time for the others. Yeah.
All right. Thank
Correct.
you very much.
And you can go back and forth. You can flag them if you want to go back. You can. There are different ways to see them. You can see them one by one. You can see them all in on the screen, so that you need only to scroll down. So there are two main options to do that. But yes, the answer is yes. What you said the last. If you take 5 seconds, you have more time for the remaining questions. And I know that there was one other questions in relation to the how to conduct the desk scan. You will be asked to basically show all the working environment, the environment where you're sitting, also behind your table, behind your desk, in the back, basically everything, the walls, the ceiling as well. And maybe it's just a suggestion, if you feel uncomfortable because you have pictures or you have things you don't want to share on screen, just remove them. When I took the mock exam in February, I have few pictures of my kids, and I didn't feel comfortable in just showing to somebody who I don't know that I have kids, and I just removed them. So you can prepare the room in advance. If there are things you don't want to share, that you don't feel comfortable, that are hanging on the walls, or so, please do it. Think about it. And then there is one last question. Okay, it's no longer here. Okay, yes, there is. So Chef Q, if I'm spelling correctly your surname, you have the floor. Hello? Would you like to? Casey. Okay, so Casey, do you have a question?
I'm not sure. I don't know her last name.
Okay, no question, it seems. Okay, then I mean, from my side, there is no go on. No.
There was one question on Instagram about snacks. Is it allowed to have snacks on the desk or water and to eat or drink during the exam? And that is the last question that we had.
Can I come back to you on this question? Because so if you look in the general page on the student portal, there is written that no drinks and food is allowed. But as far as I remember, in the Broodfabriek, water for sure and some snacks were allowed. So I will come back to that, and then I will communicate on that. Just I don't want to give an answer which is so for now. Just stick to the answer that is in the general page: no drinks and snacks. And if the answer is different, I will find a way to communicate with you on what the answer is. In any event, there is again another session next week. So if we haven't answered by then, please raise your question again next week.
Thank you so much.
It's a good question. Yeah, especially to feel comfortable. If you have some comfort food, some chocolate, or I don't know what you like to eat during the exam. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much for staying so much over time. If anybody else has any questions that remain, you are very welcome to bring them next week during the meeting that will be announced.
And thank you as well for the invitation and and I must say for the openness of all of you and for the questions you have that you posed, and thank you for being open to participate in this meeting.
Yes, thank you so much too.
Also from my side, I would like to say thank you very much. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you for all your questions. It's really important to be informed. So the more questions, the better. Bring your questions on the 8th of April. And I hope we can really collaborate with all of you to make this a success. I think there's lots of benefits for all of us in making sure that the system is working. And Most importantly, I wish you good luck for the exam.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
Bye.
here. Now we will move to the second part of the event, which is the presentation that we prepared with tips that cover MCQs from a student perspective. So now Carolina will share her screen with the presentation. This is mostly for year one and year two students who perhaps have never taken MCQs, or for year two students who maybe forgot a bit how that works since we haven't had them in a while. So if Carolina, can you share the screen with the
Yes,
presentation? That would be
it's
great.
loading. It's
Okay,
loading. You should
perfect.
see it in a second. Just let me know when you see it.
Yes, I can see it. So as we mentioned earlier, this is the second part of the event, and it's about MCQs and exam prep. So I will briefly go over the structure. If you can move to the next slide.
Is it moving?
For me, not, but maybe someone else can confirm if it moves for them.
No.
Okay, now I can see it. So concerning the actual MCQs, we will do how to prepare for them and also how to answer. And at the end, if you have any other questions, we will also do a short Q&A session. And briefly, before we move to the practical tips, I will give you a reminder on the exam structure. So you have 40 multiple choice questions, which you can do in 2 hours. So please be mindful of that. And without further ado, we will start to mention how to actually prepare for MCQs.
Yes, thank
Are
you
the
so
slides
much, Mar.
moving? Are the slides moving okay?
For me, it's
for me,
stuck
no.
on the second one.
I think okay, because I think I have some connection
Right
issues.
now,
So
I
maybe
think
if
it's
in the
fine.
meanwhile, maybe Milena, you can also try to share
Yeah,
it.
I'm trying
Yes.
right now. Perfect.
Now I can see it perfectly. It's with how to prepare for
Yes.
MCQs.
And
Great.
now I think I switched it. Okay, thank you so much. So yeah, our first tip for today is, of course, to memorize. This is fundamental for this type of exams and also for the written exams, which will come eventually after this whole pandemic. And with that, our first thing we want to mention is to rely on your type of memory. Either if you are a visual learner or an auditory learner, rely on it and try to find ways in which you will retain more. So, for example, flashcards, you can study, and that you need to study in both directions. So not only understanding the definitions, but also remind yourself of the concepts that you need to understand. You can also write them by hand, but if you don't want to use paper anymore, just use the online such online apps which can help you, such as Quizlet or any other websites that you can find. For the auditory persons who like to study speaking out loud, you need to repeat the information that you want to learn out loud and often. So you need to have an active recall instead of a passive review. So instead of just doing it from time to time, you need to recall it yourself multiple times a day or throughout a longer period of time, so that you are aware of everything and that you do not forget anything in the meantime. Also highlight the keywords in your notes. It is very important to have really good notes and to know that you encompass everything from the lectures, workshops, or the readings that you do into your notes, and highlight the most important parts. Make use of like the bold or like capitalization and everything which is related to that. Even color coding is an important factor. I personally use it a lot, and it helped me to analyze, to remember actually during the exam, okay, I know that was the color of that lecture and that was the color of that case, so I know how to associate them. And lastly, create a cheat card. We do not encourage cheating, especially in this online, and not only especially now, but every time. But you'll find yourself encompassing everything that is particularly important in a little file that will stay with you as you write in your mind. So that is also used by multiple students, and I think it's really useful for all of us. So yeah, this was it about memorization, and I think Mara will now talk about the links.
Yes, so for the next part is about like understanding links, and what we mean here is for one example, to create maps. if you have a general subject that the a certain part of your exam is concerned or preparation for exams, you can put that in the middle, for example, and then have different lines that go from that main thing to the others. So that way, by making a map, it will be easier for you to remember all the data or to connect certain issues with the general and main topic. And also on understanding links, you can also prepare your notes logically. And what we mean here is for you to make them in order of importance and also chronologically. For example, for intro to EU law, if you have history or some bits about the historic of the EU and things like that, it will be nice for you to put that in a chronological order, because that will also make it easier for you to remember it and for you to have a clear timeline in your head. And lastly, which I think it's the most important tip coming from us who have experience with MCQs, is try to make comparison tables where you see fit. And what I mean here is, for example, when you have powers, members, or structure of different institutions, it will be really nice for you to make a table and to say perhaps what are the similarities between them, what are the differences between them, and make sure that you connect everything. And you know, for example, oh, this institution has this many members compared to this institution who has this number of members. So it's very important for you to try to make links before the exam, because that will make it easier for you to answer questions. So that is on the understanding links, and now Carolina will take it over.
Can you move to the next slide? Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so while you study or while you revise, try to think of what could be an MCQ. So for example, let's say you're studying the different secondary sources of EU law, and that is a very good MCQ. So an MCQ in that case could be which of the following is not a secondary source of EU law, or which of the following is not binding, or something like this. So this will help you also memorize, because you'll associate to that something important, and you kind of also practice.
Yes. Now moving to the next tip, which is go through the course description. I know that everyone associates the course description with something bad, with readings, with assignments, but for exams, the course description is your ally, because it covers all the concepts that you need for the exam, all the questions that the lecturers expect you to answer to and to know the answer to, also the cases that you need to know, and as I already said, the principles and concepts that they emphasize the most on. So be sure that you cover the questions, that you answer them, if not in writing, at least in your head, and assess whether you actually know how to answer them, or if you have some difficulties in thinking, oh, what should I answer to this? And then make your research based on that. And speaking of the cases also, do not learn the facts of the case. It is important to know, okay, the name of the case and the important principles that derive from it. So, for example, for Intro to EU, the Van Houten Laws case, right? The concept that's deriving from it is the supremacy of EU law, right? So you don't need to know the exact facts of the case. They don't really help you that much. Of course, it's really fun to know them as a fun thing to know, but the important thing about it is to know the actual concept and to know how to define it, and also how to apply it to the given situation. So go through the course description, because it is your ally for exam prep. Now into the next slide.
So help each other study. Help each other, maybe do study groups, or maybe do video calls in which you quiz each other, or have your roommates, your siblings quiz you. If you want, there are also some websites where you can go and meet random people and just study online with them. One of them I think is called a Stream app. Or you can watch these study with me videos on YouTube, where you just look at someone study for a certain period of time and there are already breaks in it. So you kind of feel motivated by seeing someone else that is very motivated to study. Or you can also just be on a video call with your friend. You can be both on mute and kind of study, not together, but kind of keeping each other on track like that. I understand how hard it is sometimes to get motivated, especially right now, especially considering how nice it is outside and how tiring it is to study. but maybe you can have these things as sort of tricks to force yourself to study.
Yes, thank you. And now, because we covered the preparation, we will now move further to how to answer the MCQs during the exam. And the first tip is manage your time, as Ms. Marassi also stated before and emphasized on this. Do not have the impression that you have a lot of time. 2 hours is not that much. That means around 3 minutes per question, but that isn't a lot of time when you take into account the more difficult questions or longer questions that take a lot of time to actually just read, not to answer them. So one strategy in that way is to plan your time carefully, depending on the points allocated to every question. So of course, you should be more focused and pay more attention to the questions which have more points than the others who have lower points. So you'll have a greater, you'll be sure about your grade and that you actually focused on the right ones, which have the most points. Do not spend too much time on questions you do not know how to answer. When you read the question, actually, you read it once, you read it twice, but stop there if you do not know how to tackle it. So if nothing comes to your mind or you feel like you didn't study that, just don't think too much about it. Move as fast as possible to the next one so you don't waste more time. And you can always come back to, you can also flag the questions and that you did not answer, and you can come back to them and answer them after you finished all the questions you know how to answer to. And the last part of the manage your time tip is to take breaks. So it should be nice to plan your time very carefully so that it includes some break times, especially towards the end when you'll have to recheck your work. So it's nice to have a break between actually you answering and going back checking your work, because you'll have a refreshed mind and you can probably view your exam from another point of view than you did when you answered the first time. So manage your time, even though everyone gives this advice, but it's really important. Now, Carolina?
Yes. So read carefully. Now, this sounds like a really silly tip. Of course, I'm going to read carefully. And of course, I'm not going to skip that not or that all of the above answer. But it does happen, and it happens a lot. So make sure you read the answer carefully, even twice, even thrice, until you're sure that you know what it wants and that you're answering what the question is asking and not what you think it's asking. Also, read carefully the answers, because it could be that all the answers are correct and that you just see that the first one is correct, and so you click that one without noticing that they're all correct and that the last question is all of the above, or opposite with none of the above. So that is really important. Read everything, especially when options are similar, because again, you might just miss that not, isn't, those negations that make a big difference. And then once you've chosen your question, your answer, read the question again, read your answer again, and check again if it makes sense. Milena, you're muted.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Yeah, so in relation to that one, answer every question. So there is not much to say about this one besides answer every question. So check again and read carefully what you've been through. If you don't know at all the answer to a question, just make the so-called educated guess. So use your logic, use your knowledge from other subjects, use your general knowledge, and try to answer to your best of your ability, even though it's not really based on what you learned. Everything can be possible, so you just need to trust your gut in these things. So the majority of time it will be good in the end. Also, if you feel like you run out of time, you didn't manage your time properly, and you feel like you're running out of time, just go through all the questions, put a random answer, and then if you still have a little bit of time, come back to them and actually read them and try to answer correctly. But never leave them open, because there is a small chance that you can actually get one right, and it will get you a lot of points. And you need to have a strategy, right, Carolina?
Develop a strategy. What does that mean? Kind of come up with tricks that work for you. For example, you can read everything first and then figure out what are the questions that are the easiest that then you know for sure the answer to, and start answering those first so that you get those easy points at the beginning and that you don't waste time on difficult questions and then risk not answering the ones that you knew for sure the answer to. Or you can just go but in order, and then as soon as you have a difficult question, go to an easy question, so that actually it gives you some, you know, some sort of motivation and some sort of yeah, you're happy because you know the answer for that one, and then you go back to the difficult question at the end. Then of course exclude the most improbable answer. Usually there's 4 answers, one of them is absolutely ridiculous, the other 3 might be, maybe one of them could be better than the other 2, or maybe there's 2 that are the best ones. But yeah, try to do something like that. Another tip is to skim through the questions and the answers, because sometimes an answer or a question may have a hint of the answer to the question that you're doing currently. This comes up really often, especially when the topic is not that wide, because those are the things that can be asked, and there are so many ways in which they can be asked. So just yeah, watch out for that and use that to your advantage. And then lastly, when you have the answer on the tip of your tongue and you cannot get it out and you cannot remember it, a trick is to imagine yourself in the place where you studied that thing, or looking at the page where you studied it, or at the color if you had color coding. And sometimes that can help through context-dependent memory to give you the answer. I mean, of course, if you do not know it from the beginning, that's not going to help you, so don't waste time. And then we have Mara with the do nots.
Yes, and this is also our last tip. Do not trust statistics. And what I mean here is that if you think for some reason that you have too many A's or too many B's, do not go by that in any case, because usually our lecturers do try to trick us a bit. We had exams in the past where it was like 4 times A and then B and then only A and B, and everyone was very confused. It's like, there's no way this is correct. There must be like a C somewhere. So just don't trust statistic, because most of the times it's random. It doesn't have any logical reason for the order, anything like that. So trust your gut. Do not forget to use the resources that you have given. So TEU, TFU, make sure that you make use of them. And lastly, do not panic, because in the end it's just one exam. I know it's a bit scary now because it's different from what you are used to, and I know it is kind of a big change, but in the end, please remember that this is just one exam. You will have another chance to pass it. You're still year 1 students, so you're just in the beginning of your journey at this university. So I think by any means, do not be stressed if perhaps this doesn't go the way you want it to. And yeah, just remember that we all had bad exams for sure, and we all went through what you went with MCQs and things like that. So just don't try to panic, take it easy. And yeah, I guess that was it concerning the don'ts. But we also have I think one slide at the end, and we will take questions after this. But I would just like to emphasize to all of you that you are bigger than the exam, so do not let it intimidate you by any means, because you are at the beginning of your journey, as we mentioned. So don't be stressed about it. Don't panic. We know it's difficult, and we understand that it's a lot of pressure for you, especially now with everything changing. But as the slides very beautifully point out, you are bigger than the exam, and it's just one exam in your journey. You will have many more others. Trust me, I am year 3, and this is just the beginning. So do not worry about it. Have faith in yourself, because you are here for a reason, and so far you have done great, I'm sure. So just take it easy, enjoy it as best as you can, and remember that this is just one exam in the end. So that was our advice from the heart, because as we mentioned, we've all been here. So do not be stressed about it, please. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them now. You can either use the hand or the chat, or it's completely up to you. Or if you just want to share anything, or I don't know, give us some feedback. just make sure that we are still here for a couple more minutes, so you can definitely ask away if you have any other questions. Or if there may be other students who are year 2 and would want to share something or give their tips and anything like that. We know it's been quite a lot, and this session has been very informative and a lot of information has been thrown at you. So we understand that perhaps you're a bit tired now, but yeah, if you have any other questions or if you would like to say anything.
I saw a question from Atuli, I think. Good job, great event. Thank you. How do you personally manage time during the exam, of course? Well, it depends on the kind of exam, of course. For example, in the normal exams that we're doing now, so open book exams, I have timers every 15 minutes. Some people think I'm crazy for that because that stresses them out, but I like it. It keeps me on track. It helps me keep track of the exam, keep track of the questions, and understand, okay, I've reached the half of the exam, I need to move on. Now this is different for MCQ exams because in that case, you're not going to be able to put timers. You're not going to be able to put timers, but you're going to have your laptop so you can take a look at the time on the screen. Also, the time is going to go a bit faster because there's many more questions, but then also it's going to take much less time to answer the questions.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I do the same. I mean, I don't do them every 15 minutes, but I do have, like, in my mind, I try to have 1 hour for the first question and the not another hour because I do want to check it, but maybe 50 minutes for the second one. And the most important thing, which I pretty much neglected through my first and second year, is look at how many points are awarded for each question, because I would go chronologically and I would see that, for example, in the essay question, the first one is 10 points and the last one is 30 points. But since I did them in the chronological order, I wouldn't have enough time to finish the third one. So just try to make sure that you look at how many points are per each question and try, if possible, to start with the ones which award you the most points, because I think that's the most efficient in like making sure that you get the most points, because that's the that's the end goal, I think. So just, yeah, try to be very attentive and try not to panic. And also, if you think that you are stuck on something, just leave it be. At the end, it's no problem if you just pass, if you go over one or you don't know a particular question, it's no panic. So just leave it be. And if the inspiration hits you and you know the answer by the end of the exam, that's great. But if not, it's just one question in the end. So don't try to stress too much on finding the answer for one specific question.
Also remember that you do not get points deducted for wrong questions, which is why you should every single question. Maria has her hand up.
Yes, I wanted to add that I think that now all of the questions have the same number of points. So there are different number of points.
That you know, from the easiest ones or the ones that you know for sure. That will save time, that's for sure.
Exactly. I think we also mentioned in the presentation, but try to look through them. And if you see something that pops up to you and, oh, I already know the answer to that one, and it, just make sure that you go through the ones that you are 100% sure on first, and then leave the ones which you're maybe not sure about at the end. But I think just don't try to panic or feel bad if you don't know the answer to one particular question.
Vetira has a question.
There is a question in the chat from Vetira. Which exam form have you gotten higher grades in, open book or MCQs? And actually, I think the MCQs, not the open book ones. I mean, the MCQs that we had in person and when we went in at the location when we were in first year, I think in those I got the higher grades just because I actually prepared beforehand, because the online format for me doesn't really work. I'm not motivated at all. At least then I was really keen on memorizing everything and trying to learn as much as possible. And apparently, like, open books do not help me that much. It may be the fact that maybe I'm second year and probably it became a little bit more difficult, but I don't think that's the case. I think we just don't take all the details into account, or I think that is the main thing.
I think this is very, very personal because for me, it's exactly the opposite. It could be also that the first quarter of year one, I did not really study that much. I passed everything, but I think I just attended lectures and that was it. So maybe if I had put a bit more effort, I would have gotten higher grades. But for me, I've always been a person that overthinks everything. So when you give me multiple choices, I'm gonna think of each single one of them, and if that could be interpreted as the right question, as the right answer. So I'm really bad with that, but you know, it's really just very personal, very, very different, yeah, for everyone.
And also, it depends very much on the subject because, for example, I mean, now in year three, I don't really have an excuse because I chose this specialization, so I should get good grades on all of them. But for example, in year two, like I knew going into it that I'm not particularly keen on, for example, corporate law courses because it's not something that I'm interested in pursuing after this. So I would, to be honest, tend not to give particular attention to those ones. So I think in the end, just like try to, of course, put in effort for all of them. But if you already know that there's something or some subjects that you like a bit better, there's no shame or there's no trouble in you putting a bit more effort into those if it's something that particularly you're interested in. So I think it genuinely depends because, yeah, it depends on the subject and how much you liked it, how, if you understood everything from the get-go and things like that. So
So to
maybe
be
not
honest,
the ideal answer, but
I think that having, I don't know if this can help you or give you some peace, but having Intro to EU Law as an MCQ instead of a open book exam is much better because it's much about remembering certain things. It's not very case based. It's not very practical. It's more about remembering things. So I really think it's the best exam that they could have decided to do as an MCQ instead of an open book exam. We have a hand up.
Yes, I was wondering for people who are not part of the ILSA, who are not members of ILSA, do you know how we can access this recording after the session?
Yes, this recording will be posted either tonight or tomorrow on YouTube. And I will try to share it. Are you a year one student or year two student?
I'm a year three student.
Year three. Oh, okay, nice.
Yes.
It will be for sure in the description of ILSA's Instagram page, but I will also share it in the group. So year three group and also year one and year two, just so you'll have access to it before the exams.
Thank you.
But it's on YouTube. The simple answer is it will be on YouTube. Are there any other questions in the chat? Because I unfortunately cannot see the chat.
Just a second.
No,
I don't think so.
Okay, so if there are any other questions or if you want to add anything, now it's the time. So let us know because after this we will have to close off the event. Thank you for staying until now. We know it's pretty late and we definitely overwhelmed you a bit with the amount of information, but nonetheless we hope that it has been useful and yeah, that maybe you found some other things or like remembered some tips because we know that generally the things we mentioned you already knew, but it's nice for you to get a reminder, I think, before the exams. So if there are no other questions, I would like to thank the moderators, my colleagues Carolina and Milena, for the incredible job they did today. Thank you so much for everyone who stayed. And also, I hope you have a great Easter because I know this is happening this weekend for some of you. And yeah, just stay tuned and keep an eye on our social media pages because we will be announcing some new events after the exam period. And of course, good luck with your exams. We are keeping our fingers crossed for all of you, and we hope that this has been helpful. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you,
and
everyone.
Hope you have a great day. Night.
Thank you, everybody. For your evening. Bye.
Thank you.